Hey, welcome back, Bob fans. Thanks for joining us today. We appreciate your time. We're going to jump into this Bob today, talking about the basketball team.
Hmm.
Um, First half of the conference seasons have been a little shaky so far, um, but we come back in a big way yesterday with our backs against the wall, down two starters.
Shocker, really, Tim. I didn't think there was any chance of us winning that game. I know it was at home, but man, when you're losing Ziegler and Millicent for the game, that's two of our top four players on the team, in my opinion. I don't see. I was shocked we won, especially in
The manner,
in the manner we won. You know.
yeah, a 20-point blowout, avenging that 30-point embarrassment we had down there. Um,
Yeah. I hope, Tim. This, you know, you have a game where okay, we won the game, but this game might be more than just a win. I'm hoping as a team and as a coaching staff, we learned from this a lot. I mean, we played quite a bit different offensively without those two guys in there, and we actually let our big men play a more traditional big man game. Parr played pretty good second half. Actually, done some posting up, which we've done almost none of this year. It's all most of his points have been putbacks and lobs.
yeah, just the guy's been driving addition
Yeah.
off to him. Uh, which hasn't been as effective lately.
Hmm.
You told me, made a point before the podcast.
Yeah.
Teams have really started backing off
It's
and
become a
watching
negative.
the lob.
Yeah, it's becoming somewhat of a negative to some degree now. We're having a lot more turnovers or from that position. But I understand why they do it. That it frees up Sakai
Yeah,
to
actually, the
to
guy needs to be more offensive minded now when he drives.
yeah.
I've seen several times he went up and you could tell he was not expecting to shoot because he wanted to dish, and
Yeah.
then all of a sudden he's having to at the last second just toss something up, and yeah, he actually needs to go in there with the mentality now. Okay, people's going to watch for the lobs, but there's nobody going to slide over
Yeah.
to pick me up. So let's just take it to the basket.
Hmm.
And if somebody does drop, slide over, then I'll try to dish off if I can.
Right.
Um, but it has forced yesterday's game forced several people to get more active in the offense.
Yeah.
They wasn't always effective at it, but
Right.
but it is something we need to. It's going to be a
You
team
got
effort to try
man.
to get us out of this offensive slump we're in.
I've complained, about, Meshak's a great defensive player, but you just can't have guys like Meshak and Opara being basically,
Well, they refuse to shoot.
yeah. I mean, you can't have those guys. You can't have five guys defending basically three.
Mm-hmm.
You can't, uh, good coaches see that, and so Meshak and Opara has to become more aggressive offensively.
Yeah, yeah. We're not saying shoot a dozen times a game,
No,
but just be part of the offensive
yeah.
sets. Um, that's too many times you'll see a wide open Meshack just turn down a 14-foot shot because he's not. First off, he can't believe he's wide open. He don't know what to do. I mean, he does not
Yeah,
want to shoot.
yeah, we've seen quite a bit of that this year.
Um, so I mean, it's going to help the offense out. If people have to start coming out on him,
Yeah,
it's going to open up lanes.
I just
It
hope
opens up
this
everything.
this might be a turning point in the season.
I hope so.
Hope. I
This
mean, not
team
that
still
not
has.
that we had a bad season,
Oh Lord,
but
no.
it's just I'm kind of going downhill a little bit here lately, and the outlook definitely wasn't looking good there. But maybe we can. This is that little spark we need to maybe create that that what we need to go far.
Yeah. Rick's had tremendous success in the regular season.
Yeah.
We're number 4 right now in Ken Palm.
Right.
Um, but it's the postseason that he struggled at. This team has, and we want something. We want to start gelling at the end of the year.
Yeah.
And maybe right now this gives us an opportunity to try a few new things on the offensive end.
Hmm.
Moving forward, um, Rick deserves a title for all the success he's had over the years. and I can't think of a better place to
Do it at.
do it at
Exactly, yeah.
than Knoxville, Tennessee.
Well, we're at the halfway point, Tim, and looking at our schedule, we've got, I think, 5 road games out of the last 9.
Mm-hmm.
But the schedule is, pretty decent hard, not impossible. We do have a couple of the easier teams in the conference, and
Remaining, yeah,
and
South Carolina. Yeah, we need to hold, win out at home, which we got Alabama toward the end of the year. It's going to be a difficult game. But in Missouri this coming week,
Yeah.
midweek game, Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
But if we can hold serve at home, our road schedule does have a couple opportunities to pick up wins. At Oklahoma, we could snag that one. Um, I personally think, even though Ole Miss is ranked, I think that's a team that we could go down and have some success with if offensively we're continue to show some life.
Yeah.
This team, if it finishes, let's say 6-3 over these last
Mm-hmm.
9 games,
Yeah.
I think that's probably at least good enough for a number 2 seed.
I think so.
In this conference this year.
Yeah, I think so.
Historically strong conference.
Right. I think so. I think we have seven losses that can get you a 2 seed.
Yeah. Really, I mean, the only teams I see out there are blocks for number 1 seeds right now. Auburn, obviously.
Yeah.
Duke. Everyone else in the country basically has 4 losses like we do. More. I think maybe Houston may have 3, but
there's like 4 teams in the top 10 lost yesterday. So, I mean, that.
Yeah. We focus on what we're doing bad sometimes, but every team in the country, their own fan bases are up in arms every time they lose.
Yeah.
Oh my God, we're not going to go very far in the tournament. I mean, we outside of Auburn, in my mind, on any given day we can beat anybody.
Yeah.
And we almost did it in Auburn at Auburn. So
some interesting baseball news, Tim. I thought, man, we got a transfer in. It's kind of a late time to get transfers, but time for baseball
to start up
here, just a little bit here, a couple weeks, and we get a late transfer in from
kind of big time too.
Yeah, pretty big time. I mean, a potential starter for us. Transfer, he was in, local here at Water State, and then he transferred to North Carolina and was on their team that went to the College World Series as a first baseman DH, and I think that's kind of what we're looking for him here. He's a right-handed hitter, and I know you prefer usually a left-handed guy, I think, at that position defensively, but
of course,
I think we got too many lefties in our lineup, and I think the reason why Patel took this guy is not necessarily for those, thought we had a glaring hole and this guy was going to be a whole lot better than probably Dalton Bargo, which is probably who I thought probably might be the starter there. It was just that he's a righty and we just got too many lefties, in the batting lineup.
Well, you want some balance there because you don't want to, face a team, allow a pitcher just to mow down your 2/3 of your lineup because he's good on against a righty or lefty. But this guy has some pop in his bat too.
Mm-hmm.
He's had 31 home runs over the last 2 seasons. Should have success in a smaller ballpark that Lindsey Nelson Stadium is.
I would think 20 home runs
if he's a full-time starter.
Full-time starter is a legitimate expectation.
Yeah.
If you figure 15, 16 somewhere else in another good conference, I think you could get 20 here.
Yeah. So it's another big get for Tony V, boys. Probably going to start the season out in that ballpark of top 5, which isn't always the case for defending national champions.
Yeah, it's rarely the case here lately. Tony V's, he does an incredible job. I mean, we're the most over the last 5 years, we're the most consistent team in the country, and it's not really close from what I've seen. A lot of these teams that's won national champions have dropped off huge the next season.
Well, you can lose 2/3 of your roster in a single off season. Sometimes it can be brutal. See, Bob, hard to get out of here without a little football news, and I thought we saw a little interesting thing.
Yeah, I thought we saw something interesting. You know, the final on three rankings, they listed the top 300 uh, and by how many teams that got members of the top 300. And on threes are usually the what I feel like is probably the most accurate recruiting ranking. We use it a lot, and what we talk about here. Um, but we was tied for third in the country with 14 guys on that list.
Yeah, 14 out of the top 300 is a good number. Ohio State led the way with 16, Texas with 15, and then we tied with Georgia and Texas A&M. Um, I'd have to say Heupel has been on an upward trajectory when it comes to his recruiting.
Mm-hmm. It's been good.
Started off kind of rough for those first couple of years when everybody was using our potential probation against us.
Right.
But in this day and age, though, I mean, so much of it is NIL related anyway now.
Yeah, it is.
And we don't have the deepest pockets, but we've got a good, strong collective.
Mm-hmm.
And
really.
Go ahead, Bob.
No, I think really, if you look at the class, it's strong, 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 and could have been great, but it seemed like the DB class was the one area that we don't have a lot of good players in as far as the rankings go. And I think you had an interesting thought process on that as far as like our rankings goes, and as far as how we
recruit DB.
Yeah, what we prioritize.
What we do prioritize, and we know that Tennessee and the Tennessee Collective have dollar amounts that we put forth toward each position group that they do not want to go over, to exceed. Obviously, Tennessee puts the biggest part of our portion in the group of quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
Then we go probably defensive ends. We go offensive tackles. On the other end of that spectrum, it doesn't look like we've put as much money toward running backs, interior offensive linemen.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that.
But one group that I think is probably on the bottom. If I could go over to the ball club right now and look at their books, I would almost promise you that defensive backs are where they put their least amount of money. And I think they have a thought process there that makes sense. It's about scarcity, Bob. There's only so many quarterbacks in the class that you feel is going to win at high level.
That separates themselves.
Yeah. There's only so many human beings at the high school level that's 6'7", 330 pounds that can slide their feet.
Mm-hmm.
So there's your offensive tackles. There's only a few of them.
Right.
There's only a few guys out there 6'5", 245 pounds that can run like a track star off the edge.
Yeah.
I tell you what, there is a lot of. There's a lot of high school ball players in this country that's somewhere between 5'10" and 6'2" that can run fast and jump high.
Yeah.
And I believe they believe that they're going to put their money toward the scarce positions.
Yeah.
And they're going to kind of cast a big net, grab 5 or 6 at the DB position, and kind of hope that one, maybe 2 of those guys exceed expectations. Diamond in the rough, if you will.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah, I believe it's a sound process, but that's something you've brought up to me before, though. How do you feel about UT's allocation of resources?
Well, when it comes to all this is so new, and I've always wondered what the coaches are thinking. You have different strategies, when it comes to that kind of stuff. It's pretty obvious, like you said, what UT's strategy is.
We're grabbing that quarterback.
Yeah.
Offensive minded coach, I'm not surprised.
It is. I think I would do it differently. I'm not saying it would be the correct way, but one thing I noticed is, you've got Nico making big time money. We paid Berklinger pretty good. He was a pretty good quarterback. Then
when he committed to us, he was most people's top 7 or 8.
Then you had McIntyre when he committed to us, top 2 or 3.
Mm-hmm.
Then you got Faison Brandon, which was number 1 when he committed to us. So you have a lot of money in quarterbacks tied up. And the thing that that would bother me a little bit from a money management point of view is how many how much money we have of our base that's sitting on the bench. You know what I mean? Not
Yeah,
being,
versus if you took some of that money, maybe grabbed a, a lower prospect with potential,
yeah,
and you could slide some of that money over to other positions where you might grab an all conference top D
oh yeah,
back or a linebacker, or
you could,
maybe get one or two other starters on the field instead of having money sitting on the bench.
yeah. For the amount of money we probably put into, let's say, Merklinger or especially McIntyre, we could probably have 3 starters at other positions.
And we do the same at D.
Possibly superstar.
There's not been a team in the country, in my opinion, that on paper is recruited better at the Leo position.
Yeah, we've went hard there, hard. And,
Right.
yeah,
You can
you're
only
right.
play one or two of them
Yeah.
at a time. I mean,
I
put
could
two of them.
justify that a little bit more though, because you could put one on the opposite side
Yeah.
of pass rushing situations, and they do get
Rotation.
But at the quarterback position, you only got one playing at a time. I believe if in the perfect world, you know, you grab a big time guy like Nico. Next year, you get a developmental guy who might be, you know, you save some money on maybe a in-state kid that wanted to come to UT anyway that was fairly decent. And then the next year you go after a big again, you know, and then kind of off every other year.
Every year.
You know, you're probably safe there, I think. Semi-safe as long as you're hitting at a decent percentage.
Mm-hmm. I think that might have been their initial thought process, because when we took Merklinger, it kind of surprised us really that we took somebody that was as highly thought of as him, but it was still yet not nearly the NIL money tied up in him was what was Nico.
Yeah.
So then, you know, we went big on the third season with McIntyre.
Yeah.
And I just wonder if Faison coming along just totally wrecked that plan, because you're like, this is a guy that has legitimate interest in us,
Mm-hmm.
and he looks like a generational talent. We don't have a choice but to go after this guy, because quite honestly, I've heard anyway that, you know, Faison was their top guy in their opinion in their last 2 classes.
Yeah.
So if you really feel that much about a prospect, then I can understand changing your plan.
I'd say that's probably what it was. It's just an interesting thing if you're into that kind of thing. The whole.
Well, you can debate, you know, how are you spending your money, because in this day and age, how you spending your money is how you build your team.
Yeah, it is.
And guess what? That's what we do.
Very new. It's new. A lot of teams have different strategies. You got teams that's like Florida State, Ole Miss is going heavy portal.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's something new. I mean,
Clemson on the opposite side of that.
Right, going almost no portal. Yeah.
Tennessee seems to shy away from getting that superstar.
Right.
But we just go in and say, we got 4 positions that we think we're weak at, and we want to get quality SEC starters at those spots.
Right.
And been fairly effective to this point.
We'll see. I think things change as teams experiment and they see other teams experiment.
It's a learning process.
It is a learning process.
For every Ohio State that wins a national title, there's a teams that like Ole Miss that didn't make the playoffs, Florida State that got the season started.
Yeah.
And
right.
A cautionary tale.
Yeah.
But, you know, tell guys, how would you do? How would you spend the money?
Yeah, that would be interesting to know what the average UT fan, how you would do that. I mean, I've played these video games and stuff where you allocate, you know, like in NCAA 25, where you allocate a certain amount of recruiting points.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like that, you know.
Well, we it's not an even playing field, but everybody does have limited resources.
Yeah.
So how do you put them out there?
Yeah.
So guys, give us your thoughts on that right there. How would you do it? Appreciate you guys joining us today. If you're not already a subscriber, please hit that subscribe button. Enjoy the content. Hit the like button.
Yep.
Share it with a friend, a family member. If you love the Big Orange, let's get it out there to everybody you can, because we love talking about it, Bob.
That's right.
So go Big Orange.
All right, go Vols.